What really happened inside the walls of HMP Wakefield? Was it justice served, or another failure of a system that never truly learned how to contain monsters? Ian Watkins, once a rock star adored by fans around the world, met his violent end in one of Britain's most notorious prisons. But what came after his death is even more chilling. In this video, we're diving into the aftermath, the confusion, the outrage, the strange silence from some corners, and the storm of emotion that has taken over social media and the press ever since. For those who followed the story from the beginning, you already know how dark Ian Watkins' path became. From fronting the Welsh rock band Lost Prophets, to the horrific revelations that sent him to prison for some of the most disturbing crimes ever recorded, his fall from grace was complete. But now, in death, Watkins has once again divided the world. On October 11, 2025, at around 8:30 in the morning, chaos broke out inside HMP Wakefield, known grimly as Monster Mansion. Ian Watkins was found in his cell with multiple stab wounds, a brutal assault that ended his life before medical help could arrive. Paramedics were called, but there was nothing they could do. He was pronounced dead at the scene. The attack wasn't random. Within hours, 2 inmates, Rashid Gettle, age 25, and Samuel Dodsworth, 43, were arrested and later charged with his murder. Both men were already serving sentences for violent crimes, and according to early reports, the attack was planned and deliberate. But even now, weeks later, many questions remain unanswered. How did it happen again? Why was Ian Watkins, a man known to be at constant risk, left so exposed inside a prison already infamous for violence? Remember, this wasn't the first time Watkins had been attacked. Back in 2023, he was taken hostage by 3 inmates in the same prison. That assault lasted nearly 6 hours. He was stabbed and beaten, barely surviving. So how could something like this happen twice? Inside one of the most secure facilities in the country? Reports from inside Wakefield paint a grim picture. Guards are overworked. Tensions between prisoners are rising. Violent assaults have increased by over 70% in recent years. And among inmates, Watkins' crimes made him one of the most hated men behind bars. An anonymous officer told The Sun, "Everyone knew it was coming. It was just a matter of time." Those words echo what many now believe, that his death wasn't just an attack, but something more like an inevitable reckoning. Shortly after the killing, the prison went into full lockdown. Investigators flooded the facility, and the 2 suspects were moved to separate high-security units for their own safety. Their first court appearance was filled with tension. One of the accused refused to appear via video link, insisting he'd only appear in person. The other sat emotionless, giving no hint of remorse. Their trial is now scheduled for May 2026, but the speculation hasn't slowed down one bit. Meanwhile, the internet is on fire. Within minutes of the news breaking, Ian Watkins trended worldwide. Some called it karma. Others said, no matter what he did, no one deserves to die like that. Twitter, Reddit, and TikTok became a battlefield of emotions. On one side, there were people celebrating the idea of justice being served in a way the system couldn't. On the other, human rights advocates and prison reform groups condemned the prison service for allowing yet another violent death behind bars. Even among those who once knew Watkins personally, reactions have been mixed. TV presenter Fern Cotton, who dated him in the early 2000s, says she hasn't been sleeping since hearing the news. In a heartfelt message on her Instagram story, she described her mental state as wobbly, adding that she was shocked and unsettled by the way everything ended. Meanwhile, Joanne Jedzelix, Watkins' ex-girlfriend and one of the key figures who helped expose his crimes years ago, said his death was a relief. In her own words, he destroyed so many lives. Maybe this ends a fear. Those words hit hard, especially for the victims and their families, who've carried the pain of his actions for over a decade. For them, this wasn't a tragedy. It was closure. But the death of a high-profile inmate like Watkins has reignited old questions about the UK's prison system. How can someone so infamous and so clearly at risk be killed twice in the same facility? What does that say about the state of prison safety and surveillance? An internal investigation has already been launched by the Prisons and Probation Ombudsman, and while officials have remained tight-lipped, Leaks suggest the findings might expose serious security lapses at Wakefield. Critics argue that prison officers either looked the other way or simply couldn't control the growing violence within the prison's walls. Some prison insiders say Watkins' death has also sent shockwaves through other facilities. Guards are now under extra pressure to monitor high-risk inmates, and many fear copycat attacks could follow. Others believe it might mark a turning point, forcing the system to finally address its failures. But there's a darker side to all of this: the eerie quiet from some of Watkins' former bandmates. The surviving members of Lost Prophets have maintained almost total silence. No statements, no interviews, not even a tribute or a comment. And that silence says a lot. It's as if they want nothing to do with his name, in life or in death. Fans of the band, though, are struggling. Some admit they still listen to the old songs, even though it feels wrong. Others have deleted every trace of Lost Prophets from their playlists. The debate rages on. Can you separate the art from the artist, especially when the crimes are this horrific? In the weeks following his death, prison officials revealed that Watkins had become increasingly withdrawn. He refused visits, kept himself, and was seen pacing his cell for hours on end. One prison source claimed he had stopped speaking to other inmates altogether, almost as if he knew his time was running out. He looked tired. One guard reportedly said he didn't fight anymore. It's like he accepted what was coming. Was it guilt, fear, or just exhaustion after years of isolation and hate? No one really knows. But one thing is certain. Ian Watkins' story didn't end the day he was sentenced, and it didn't even end the day he was killed. In many ways, his death has become another chapter in a much bigger story, one about justice, morality, and the dark side of fame. The prison system that was supposed to contain him ended up becoming the stage for his final act. And for the public, it's forced a new kind of reflection. Did the system fail him, or finally catch up with him? Is this justice, or just revenge in disguise? As the investigation continues and the trial of his killers approaches, one thing is clear. This story isn't over yet. There are still details we don't know, people who won't talk, and a system struggling to explain how one of its most infamous inmates met such an end. For some, that's closure. For others, it's just another reminder that even behind bars, monsters and men still live by the same violent rules. So what do you think? Was Ian Watkins' death an act of karma or a massive failure of justice? Let me know your thoughts in the comments. If you found this story eye-opening, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more real-life stories and updates that reveal the truth behind the headlines.